Bird life is about taking to the skies, but it's also about finding a place to nest, rest, and make more birds. But where do you nest when a tree branch is just too uncomfortable for you to sit on for long periods of time? Such is the challenge for a certain kind of swift, a bird that lives life in the air until they find a nice safe place to glue their nests to the side of a flat surface. But sometimes you have to compete with humans for the best places to make your home in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter at LD Taxonomy, or visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Tristan Taylor, Jesse Raspolich, Carol Raspolich, and Paul Chomo. Thank you so much. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about a bird that wears a t-shirt and stays on the bleachers. But more on that later. I was trying to make those rhyme, but they don't when you put them that close together.
I was talking to Bibby about this earlier today, and I came up with a very raunchy joke for this, and we're like, nope, we're not going to do it.
And now everyone is screaming to know what it is.
Nope, you're just going to have to. It's the same song, though. Anyway, we're talking about the chimney swift. Mary Poppins has forever ruined my ability to spell chimney, which I learned while writing the notes for this. I was like, I kept wanting to put the E on the other side of the N because it's chimney.
My third grade teacher told us that when she was in the spelling bee, when she was in third grade, she lost because of the word chimney.
Oh, goodness.
And from then on, I realized it's unspellable.
It is the unspellable word. But for me, it's the same thing with specialty. Thanks to Obi-Wan, I can't spell it because he says Sith Lords are our speciality. Like, no, that's not how that's not how that word is pronounced at all, Obi-Wan. That's like aluminium. Like, nope, you have put some letters in there.
But they really have put some letters into aluminium. Is there extra letters in speciality?
Do they actually spell aluminium like that?
Yeah.
Like there's an I at the end? I-U-M?
Yes.
I did not know that. I thought it was just an incorrect, just a weird quirk across the pond.
Just them being delightfully wrong?
Which is, yeah, sure. All right, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if they spell speciality like that. So, special? Is that how special it is? Anyway, we're talking about the chimney swift. Otherwise known as Dick Van Shrike.
Nice.
And one flew over the chimney's nest.
I'm going to have to cut out my first because there was more joke to be heard.
Yeah, you thought I was just going to let that do a soft landing, but there was a little bit of an updraft at the end of that joke.
Updraft.
So, you want to taxonomize this? You want me to?
Sure.
All right, it's in a kingdom. You know it. You love it. You're in it. You got to have it. It's the kingdom Animalia. Like all of the animals we do are in the kingdom Animalia. The phylum is Chordata. Not all of the animals we do are on the phylum Chordata. The class is Aves because it's a bird. Aves is for bird. The order is Apodiformes, which sounds to me like footless. And looking at the etymology, that's exactly what it means. Which is odd because these, I can 100% guarantee that these birds have feet.
There's something about that. I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but
I was
think
not
it
planning
applies to like hummingbirds, which are also in Apodiformes.
It's like an odd characteristic with the scales on their feet, but they do have small legs, but they are not footless. They don't kick off their Sunday shoes.
Oh.
But yes, the family is Apodidae, which also sounds like footless. The genus is, I want to say, Catura.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Chatura. Not sure. The species is Pelagica. So it's either Catura pelagica or Catura pelagica.
Have you heard the story of Chatura pelagica the Wise?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Though, do you know the story?
Yeah, it's been told that he found a way to defeat Chimney.
It was told that he did it without feet.
Yeah.
He was footless. He was a footless chimney sweep.
Are you understanding the reference?
No.
Oh, it's from Star Wars. Darth Pelagus.
Oh, Darth
the Wise.
Pelagus the Wise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, that went right over my head, and it definitely shouldn't have. All right. Yeah. So, Catura pelagica. And since we're in the business of naming Sith Lords, it's time for my favorite part of the show, critter groups. The part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and the question is the same every time. What is the name of a group of this animal? What is the term of venery? Or what is the collective noun? We're doing a bird. Hooray. Because birds, if there's one thing in the schoolyard brawl that is different animal enthusiasts or scientists, with the ichthyologists and the ornithologists and the what's the bug one? Entomologist? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that the ornithologists have done a good job with their terms of venery. They have a term of venery for most classes, most general groups of birds, and this is no different. Swifts have their own collective noun. So, if you saw a group of swifts, would you say that's A, a spear of swifts, B, a dackle of swifts, C, a box of swifts, or D, a strike of swifts?
I'm going to go with box. No, box is like something you could actually hold things in. Strike is good. Strike. Final answer.
Incorrect.
Is it
the
a box?
answer is box. Yeah.
Because they look like cigars.
I guess they do.
Yeah, that's this particular. The chimney swift is a cigar with wings.
Yeah,
That's
or like
in
a
flight.
slug. Cigar is pretty good. Yes, it's a box of cigars. So yeah, if you see a bunch of swifts, you can impress your bird-watching friends with your knowledge of the term of venery.
That's a strange term of venery. Usually they are not vessels in which a group can be held.
In fact, if you see a bird flying and you correctly identify it as a swift, that alone will impress your bird-watching friends, let alone the fact that you know the term of venery. So,
Look, it's a box of swifts.
because they had a hard time identifying this particular bird back in the mid 18th century when they were first classifying them.
I don't blame them. There's a reason. There's
Yep.
probably a reason.
So let's talk about what this looks like. So these are like long finch boys.
Mm-hmm.
They have I think it's a finch at the end of Bug's life. Like they kind of have that face, very short, sharp beak. They have like this bullet shaped body or cigar shaped. It's very like a torpedo, like smooth, one single just mass. It's got these really cool, really unique stealth bomber wings. They're very very long, and they curve downward, kind of giving it this boomerang look. It almost looks exactly like a batarang, in fact, because it's got the body of the bird in the middle. So yeah, this is definitely something Batman is just chucking at his foes. As far as coloration, it has counter shading like a lot of birds do. So it has brown gray feathers on its back, with a lighter gray on its belly and throat. So it's more difficult to see looking up and more difficult to see looking down. So this is like is this a big cigar? Oh wait. Hey, we were just talking about Frasier earlier. This is the Le Cigar Volant, which literally means the flying cigar. And
What
the
does that
Cigar
have to do with
Volant.
Frasier?
That's the restaurant they always go to.
Oh,
That's every sitcom has to have like the main living area and then like the restaurant that the characters all go to. It's that cafe at the bottom of Friends, underneath where the Rachel's apartment or whatever. It's the fancy restaurant that the Crane boys like to go to, and it's called the Flying Cigar.
nice. I love Frasier. I should have known that.
Yeah, you should have.
Anyway,
but yeah,
let's talk about its size. Welcome to the Blood Measure Up segment, the official listener favorite part of the show. The part of the show where we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send in audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering. The words measure up into ldtaxonomy.com. ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new measure up intro this week, but we're going to go back into the archives and revisit our greatest hits. I don't think we've revisited this one yet. Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
What are the classifications of living things? Ready? Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, measure up!
Topical.
that is topical. Is that Joy's class?
That's Joy's class. Classical conversations.
Every classical conversation definitely needs to have a Buzz Lightyear toy.
And they definitely need to every single one of them across the country, send us measure ups.
All the classical conversation classes.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you once again to Joy for a stellar measure up.
Goodness. All the references. All the puns.
Let's talk about length. They're between 12 to 15 centimeters or 4.7 to 5.9 inches. How many chimney swifts go into the tallest chimney in the world? You know I had to do it.
I'm glad I didn't look that up.
Here's a hint. The tallest chimney is at GRES-2 power station in Kazakhstan. It's a coal-burning plant that was built by the Soviet Union in 1982, and today half of it is owned by InterRAO-UES, the Russian energy company. And I say the Russian energy company because it is the monopoly on Russian electricity imports and exports.
I guess they monopolize. Because Russia's really known for their hypercapitalism.
Yeah, that's what that is. It's not actually just the government.
Then it like barely even counts as a monopoly. It's just a
the government. But technically, in communism or in socialism, the government is a monopoly on everything.
Yeah. Especially violence. Yeah, I guess I didn't think of... I was like thinking of house...
Hunters?
Chimneys. But
Yeah,
I
this
guess
is a
the
power
biggest
plant
chimneys
chimney.
would be like these huge coal burning plants.
Yeah, I don't think birds would want to nest in these.
Does a nuclear power plant count as a chimney? This big steam, probably not.
I don't
Probably
know.
smoke needs to come out of there.
But they're
carbon
probably
based.
also not as tall.
So this must be very tall because those nuclear plants are really big. I'm gonna go with 700 feet.
Okay.
That is a tall building, but not quite like absolute skyscraper. No, I'm gonna go with 500 feet. That's about middle of the road. Like I think what the Empire State Building is a little over 1,000 feet. So 500 feet. The answer is 1,000. I'm gonna say 1,000.
Chimney Swifts, final answer?
Yeah.
The correct answer is 2,800 Chimney Swifts.
I would have been so much closer if I went with the. I still wouldn't have been right. I wouldn't have gotten a nursing school
Yeah.
pass.
The chimney is 1,377 feet or 419 meters. Taller than the Empire State Building.
That is taller than the Empire State Building. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, long cylinders with a wide base. Turns out you can make them really tall.
Real tall. Especially when you don't have to put anybody in them.
Yeah.
They don't have to like have offices and bathrooms and stuff. It can just be one solid structure.
So let's talk weight. There's between 17 and 30 grams. That is obviously because an ounce is ginormous. That is 0.6 to 1.06 ounces.
Seems like 30 grams is about an ounce.
So, how many chimney swifts go into the weight of people that attended the highest grossing world tour by a musician in 2015? Bonus points if you guess who it is.
Is it Dave Matthews Band?
2015?
I don't know. I've never heard a Dave. I've heard one Dave Matthews Band song once.
I feel like their peak was earlier.
It wasn't? Okay. 2015. Imagine Dragons? No.
Good guess.
That was earlier. See, like, I really dropped off the music map around that time.
You have certainly heard of this.
My heyday was like 2008 to 2012. Like that was where all of those were my formative music years.
One more guess. It's a single person.
Ed Sheeran. No.
Incorrect.
Darn it.
No. Here's a hint.
Kenny Chesney. Brad Paisley.
Kenny Chesney. The tour was Taylor Swift's 1989 World Tour.
How could I not have thought of that? I'm an idiot.
It grossed $250 million. And the average weight of an American in this analogy is 185.3 pounds. That's the average weight of an American man and an American woman averaged together.
I guess I also didn't think of Taylor Swift being at the height of her power in 2015 either. Again, that's another like 2010 one.
No, 1989 was like one of like her it was after her breakout album. So, yeah, pretty high, pretty close to the height of her power. I feel like she was winning like nonstop awards in like 2009, 2010.
Yeah, and then once that I think it's the Trouble and Shake It Off songs came out that were on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like, I guess from my perspective, it seemed like downhill because she was moving further away from like the more rock, country, like organic sound to the more pop sound. But yeah. I guess that means money for artists.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, oh, going like this. This no longer sounds even close to something that I might potentially listen to. But that's clearly not what 2015 masses thought. Mm-hmm. So, okay, the total mass of people, 180 pounds per person.
185.3.
I'll put the 0.3 times. I can never remember how many people go into like the giant stadium. That's kind of like that's my go-to for like large groups of people.
Florida Atlantic University holds 30,000 people.
Okay, so it's got to be more than that. Maybe it's 80.
The stadium, not the college.
I'm gonna go with 80,000. That seems like a lot of people at a venue. So that's 14.8 million pounds. Divided by, or actually, we got to figure out how many ounces go into that. 16 ounces a pound. So I'm going to say the answer is 237 million.
The correct answer is 6.3 billion, and it's a lot of change.
What was my guess? 237 million. So yeah.
Yeah. So
not close.
Yeah, the Taylor Swift's 1989 World Tour included, I'm assuming several stops in several stadiums, totaling 2,278,000 fans.
Yeah, I was just picturing one place.
400 million pounds. Yeah, World Tour.
400 million pounds of Chimney Swifts.
No, that's I guess it is. 400 million pounds of Chimney Swifts. If there were only that many, they're vulnerable.
Yeah, there aren't billions of Chimney Swifts.
Well, do you have any other interesting facts besides the fact that there aren't billions of them?
Well, I wanted to also put in. I should have done this at the beginning, but we got 2 new reviews.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to shout them out because we haven't gotten a new review in over a year. So if you would like to really help out the show, you could just go on Pocket Cast or iTunes or Overcast or whatever.
Cast.
They don't do
no
reviews.
Reviewing, yeah.
Okay, then go on Overcast or iTunes and or Apple Podcast and just leave us a nice 5-star review if you're feeling so inclined. It really helps the show, helps us get discovered. If you found us on Pocket Casts, it's because people are really rating the show high. So thank you to everyone who has written a review. And thank you to these 2 people who wrote reviews in the last week or so. American at Heart. And 5 kissy
5
faces.
5 kissy faces, one of which is blushing.
Yeah. And that person said they love the cockroach episode. Please do one on Bearcats. And I'm happy to tell you that we have done one on Bearcats.
They have another name though.
They're binturong.
Binturong. Search for the term binturong on ldtaxonomy.com.
Yeah, it's an earlier episode for sure.
Yeah. Maybe we should.
It's actually episode 7. It is episode 7. Should we redo the Humboldt squid that everybody seems to be listening to?
Humboldt squid revisited. Reviews. The best part about reviews and the most valuable part about reviews is hearing from listeners. That's the best part. Because at this point, there's Spotify that doesn't do reviews. There's YouTube, which I guess has reviews. And there's like stuff like Pocket Cast and these other ones that don't do reviews. And they're like more than iTunes now. So, but if you're listening on iTunes, I mean, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I use Apple Podcasts for my podcasts. So
I'm actually on Pocket Casts now.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's better because it's Apple Podcasts doesn't have the greatest interface sometimes. But thank you so much to American at Heart and Four Kissy Faces and a Blush for your reviews. That sounds like a movie. There's like Men Who Stare at Goats, 12 Monkeys, and then Four Kissy Faces and his Blush.
Yeah.
But yes, just wanted to call that out. Figured this was a good time. But yes, let's go into some fast facts. Also, the Binturong is episode 7, so check that out. That's the bear cat. It smells like popcorn. Find out why.
Yeah.
So the chimney swift lives in. It breeds in eastern North America, and then it winters in northwestern South America. So basically, like everything east of the Mississippi is where it does its breeding during the summers, and then over the winter it spends its time in Peru, Colombia, and like very, very western Brazil, a little bit of Venezuela. So it's definitely a migratory bird. And pretty much just like they just eat insects. That's their favorite food. They like flies, ants, wasps, bees. They kind of have that particular beak that's just great for insectivores. And we're already pretty far in the episode, so I'll just end the fast facts with the they live for about 5 years in the wild. So they're not like macaws that live for 80-something years. But it's still a respectable lifespan for a small animal.
Mm-hmm.
And so Joe, do we have anything? Is there anything peculiar about something called the chimney swift? The chimney swift?
There sure are.
Chim chim chiroo. Where there's hardly no day.
Okay.
No hardly no night.
So the major fact I'm calling they flew into a flue. There's a TikTok. I learned about this via TikTok. So the TikTok account Home and Mom Life posted a video in which a woman is recording a house from outside, and she sees thousands of something flying around a chimney like it's a horror movie. So I'm going to play a little audio from that.
A whole box of them.
Oh my god. I thought that these were birds, but there's hundreds of bats. Thousands of bats swarming in one circle above this house. This is not a good omen.
So
Hundreds.
Yeah. So she eventually
Chimney.
sees all of them just pour into this chimney. Dive straight down into it. She thinks they're bats, but in follow-ups she said she spoke to the homeowners and found out they weren't bats, they were chimney swifts. Little birds, little cigars with wings. And weirdly enough, the homeowners were completely unfazed, and they said it happened every year. But it's not always sunshine and rainbows for homeowners that experience this chimney phenomenon. And those that forget to keep their dampers closed experience a minor catastrophe. And I have another video for us to listen to. I
can't imagine that having like hundreds of birds like basically in your house is good. That's an Alfred Hitchcock situation if I've ever seen one.
So
or Birdemic.
I had to look up some chimney anatomy. We are Floridians. I know nothing of chimneys, because we need not fire. We need only air conditioning.
We need not fire.
So there's something called a damper. There's the thing at the top that closes the flue. So that's like if you want, you can keep the anything out of your chimney by closing that. But then there's something closer to the bottom called the damper, and you can like close it all the way, or you can like open it minorly to like control the airflow. So you can close the damper and then not have things that you can have things in your chimney without having things in your house. But people sometimes don't close those during the season of giving for chimney swifts. But so here's a video from Inside Edition.
Hundreds of birds swarm a house. Then they do something amazing. They fly right into the chimney. It's an invasion. This fireplace is where the birds made entry into the home. They flew in by the hundreds and left a wave of chaos and destruction. Look there, they're lining the windowsill with wings furiously flapping. They also attach themselves to the ceiling.
So, like, if you're just listening, literally, this house is covered with birds on the inside, and they're like clinging to the ceilings and the walls.
Ugh.
And like later on in this video, which you can click on at ldtaxonomy.com, click on a link to it. The homeowner is literally just scooping birds into a box and tossing them out of his house.
A box of chimney swifts into a box. Put that box in another box.
It's essentially Russian nesting dolls of chimney swifts. So anyway, chimney swifts
horrifying.
They like to nest in enclosed spaces, but they are so named because they love to nest in chimneys. And you might be asking, where did they nest before there were chimneys? Before people started building chimneys, I wrote, in North America, the birds would nest in hollow trees.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we've had chimneys as long as there's been civilization. But, yeah, maybe not in North America as much. No.
But now they almost always and exclusively nest in man-made structures. Because if you look at these videos, there's thousands of them. Hundreds even. Not just hundreds. Hundreds. So like there can't be that many hollowed out trees.
But can there be that many I guess abandoned houses or
there
houses
can be that many chimneys and like structures, sure. If there aren't any enclosed options, they have a lot of trouble because they literally can't nest in trees like in the typical fashion. Really? Yeah, because they can't perch on branches. They don't have a backward facing toe.
They have no feet. They're footless.
They have feet, but they're just their feet are different than other birds. So they can't perch on branches. But they're really good for clinging to the sides of walls. So like all of their toes face forward. So like when they have maximum grip against gravity when they're on a tree. But also they have little spines on their tail feathers that they can also use to anchor themselves to trees. So that's interesting. So when the flues are closed, they may nest in abandoned buildings, wells, and cisterns. They may also nest in buildings that are in use if they're left alone. So like large warehouses or garages or open air, like overhangs, they'll nest in, even if there's people around. So once they find a nice dark space of some kind, the swifts will build their nests, and nests are made out almost entirely out of sticks. And they don't land to get them because they have weird feet. They fly most of the time, including when they're eating bugs, like you mentioned. But also they pluck twigs off of trees in mid-flight.
They're always on the wing.
Drive-bys. Flyby. D&D 5e. Flybys are great to have. These tiny little log cabins that they make are held together by, guess what?
Spit.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
the bird's saliva. So when it's breeding time, their salivary glands will expand to twice their original size. So they are adapted to spit because they need to do it to make their little Lincoln logs. So eggs take about 3 weeks to hatch, and it will take another month before hatchlings are ready to leave the nest. So if you hear 1,000 birds in your chimney, it may be a while before they leave, like a month and a half or more.
Unless you light a fire. was gonna say I feel like
There's a way. Where there's
the
a
chimney
will.
is uniquely suited for getting things out of there.
Where there's a will, there's a way, and there may not be a will in this regard. But once you open that
I
flue,
can't
it's
imagine
gonna
they
be-
keep it very clean. I think they do the opposite of what a chimney sweep would do.
1,000 birds in your chimney. Close the
All
flue.
making nests.
Keep them in.
Be a man. Kill them all. Like goodness.
Close the flue. Light a fire.
Then you're smoking yourself out.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait. No, you have to close the damper
Yeah.
to
you
smoke
have to close
yourself
the-
out.
Yeah. If you close the flue at the top, I'm sure you will smoke yourself out again.
Well, most chimneys these days have like a grate over the top so that smoke can get out, but nothing can get in. So we've learned, us humans, we're clever.
Yeah, a chimney in the summertime is a great place to be if you're a small animal, I guess.
Yeah, it's also a great place to get stuck.
But that's pretty crazy how they can cling to ceilings. Like they're
Because
that
of the
good at,
hooks in their tail feathers.
Mm-hmm. And their feet, yeah.
Well, they were initially classified as a swallow, but they don't really have a swallow tail. But although those two little like pinpricks are visible in flight, they don't have that that characteristic long forked swallowtail. But if they did, they would really look like swallows. But so do most birds. All right, yeah, that was the Chimney Swift.
Mm-hmm.
For you out there in Podcastia, spend the winter in South America. Cling to the walls of your favorite Flue, and come back to us like a living boomerang, like the Chimney Swift here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
That was nice.
It's like close, throw me away, keep coming back like a boomerang.
Come on back now, you hear? I like that.
Come on, come
It's
on back now.
folksy.